parallelogram PQRN, NS equal 2x plus 7, and SQ equal 5x minus 23. Based on the information, what is the length of NQ? So the first thing that we need to do is to go ahead and label our diagram with the information that is given to us. All right, so they gave us NS, and NS is equal to 2x plus 7. So we're going to go to our diagram, and we're going to highlight the line NS, or the segment NS, and we're going to label that with what was given, which is 2x plus 7. All right? And then we're going to go to SQ. SQ was given to us. So we're going to go to our diagram, and we're going to color SQ. And then we're going to label SQ with 5x minus 23. So 5x minus 23. All right. Now we're going to go back. It says, based on the information, what is the length? So the question is asking us for the length of NQ. So where is NQ? So NQ is all the way from here up here. So all of this segment, all of this line segment is NQ. So we need to find the length of all this. Notice that all of this is made up of the green, which is NS, and the red, which is SQ. So for us to find the length from N to Q, we have to add the green plus the red. So we have to combine the whole thing. All right? So to find NQ, we're going to have to add whatever NS is equal to, so 2x plus 7. And then we're going to add SR, which is 5x minus 23. So pretty much we're just going to be combining these two to find NQ. All right. In order to solve these questions, we have to first identify what shape this was. So this is a parallelogram. All right. So I'm going to highlight. So our important word is going to be parallelogram. So I had went ahead of time and I wrote down parallelogram on the paper. So there are some criterias or properties of parallelogram that we could use. I had written down 3. There are more, but most times these are the 3 that you need to remember when it comes on to a parallelogram. All right. So we need to identify which of these properties we would be able to use to solve this question. So the first one says that the opposite sides are parallel and they are equal. What does that mean? So in a parallelogram, you will have 4 sides. They are rectangle. Not rectangle. Sorry, quadrilaterals. My bad. So PQ and NR, these 2 sides, they are opposite to each other and they are parallel. To show parallel, I'm going to do 2 arrows here and also 2 arrows down here to show that I am comparing those 2. So these 2 sides are parallel. Not only are they parallel, but they are also equal in length. So I'm going to put 1 mark here and 1 mark here just to show that these two sides, they are parallel and they are equal to each other. So if this is 10 centimeters, this is also 10 centimeters. They are equal. The other pair of opposite side is PN, and PN is opposite to QR. So these 2 sides in a parallelogram, they are parallel to each other. So I'm going to have 1 arrow for parallel and 1 arrow for this one to show that I am comparing those 2. Not only are they parallel, they are also equal. So I'm going to put 2 marks right there just to show that these 2 sides are equal to each other. All right. So that is what this is saying. Now, this one says the opposite angles are equal. So in a parallelogram, notice that we have 4 angles. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, opposite or across from angle N is angle Q. So these two angles, this angle and this angle, they are opposite. Now, based on parallelogram theorem properties, they are equal to each other. So, for example, if angle N measures 100 degrees, then angle Q has to also measure 100 degrees. Notice I put one mark just to show that these two are exactly the same. Okay? P is opposite to R, so those two are congruent or equal to each other. So, for example, if this is 80 degrees, then this is also 80 degrees. So notice I just put 2 marks here and 2 marks here just to show that these two angles would be equal. All right? So that's this property that we spoke about. So now we're going to talk about diagonals bisect at their midpoint. So this that connects the opposite vertices, this is called a diagonal. So even though it's NQ, NQ is represented by a diagonal. All right? This is also another diagonal. So we have 2 diagonals. We have the short one and we have this long one. This long diagonal, it cuts the short diagonal in half, or it cuts it in the middle. Also, this short diagonal cut this long diagonal in the middle. So both of them cut each other at the midpoint. All right? So if it cuts each other at midpoint, it means that this piece right here is equal to this piece right here. Also, this piece from S to R would have to also equal from S to P, because this is the middle of both of those diagonals. So which one you think we're going to be using for this problem? Well, this is talking about opposite sides. We were not given any information regarding the sides. So we're not going to be using this property. All right? This one speaks about opposite angles. Nothing was given in the problem about the angle, so we don't know the measurement of their angles. So we're not going to be using this one either. All right? This one says diagonal. So we were given information on the diagonal. So we have this green part and this red part. So we're going to be using this one. So based on this property, these two has to be equal because the diagonal cuts at their midpoint. All right, so we're going to be using that particular property, this one, to solve this particular question. So therefore means that 2x plus 7, it has to equal to 5x minus 23. All right? So now we have just created an equation. So when we have an equation, we can use menu 3-1 to solve, because we want to work out what is the value of x. So we're going to go to our calculator and we're going to do menu 3-1. So you're going to put that in 2x plus 7 equal 5x minus 23. When you're finished with your equation, at the end of that, you have to always remember you must put comma and whatever the letter is. So in this case, our letter is x. So we're going to put x and then you hit enter. So your value for x is going to be equal to 10. So x is equal to 10. Now, is that the answer that we are looking for? That's not the final thing. The question asks us for the length of NQ, all of this. So all of this is the green plus the red. The green, 2x plus 7, plus the red, 5x minus 23. So notice you have the x inside here. We know what the x is. X is 10. So we're going to substitute x equal 10 anywhere we see x. So we're going to rewrite this, and we're going to have 2. So we see an x, we're going to replace that, and we're going to put 10, close parentheses, plus 7, close that. Then we're going to have plus 5. There is an x, so you're going to replace that with 10, close parentheses, minus 23, close parentheses. All right, so now we just work this out in our calculator, and that should give us our answer. So I'm going to have parentheses 2, parentheses 10, close parentheses, plus 7, and then we're going to close that big parentheses. Then we're going to have plus, open parentheses, 5, parentheses, x is 10, close parentheses, minus 23, and then we're going to close that big parentheses, enter. So we have the length of NQ to be equal to 54. So NQ is equal to 54. And that is how we solve this one. So parallelogram, just something to note, there are different quadrilaterals. Quadrilaterals are shapes that has 4 sides that are also parallelogram. So a rhombus is a parallelogram. A rectangle is also a parallelogram. And a square is also a parallelogram. So in all of those, if the question says rhombus, or if it says rectangle, or if it says square, this will always apply, these two. The opposite sides are parallel and equal, and the opposite angles, they are also going to be equal. This is not always true in all of them. It depends on which one. All right. So just a point to note, if a square is a parallelogram, a rectangle is a parallelogram, and a rhombus is a parallelogram. And in all of those parallelograms, these first two is always true. All right. So now we're going to move on to the next one. So let's go to this one. All right. It says, in isosceles trapezoid QRST, measurement of angle Q equals 6x minus 22, and measurement of angle R equal 8x plus 34. Based on the information, what is the measurement of angle S? All right, so they have give us some information. It says that the measurement of angle Q, so we see where it's already labeled. So angle Q is equal to 6x minus 22. And the measurement of angle R is equal to 8x plus 34. Now the question wants us to find the measurement of angle S. So over here, we need to know what's the measurement of this angle, which is angle S. All right. So what is given to us? Our important word here is going to be isosceles trapezoid. So we're going to write that on our paper. Isosceles trapezoid. Trapezoid. All right. So the word isosceles right here is telling us that it gives us some information. So in an isosceles trapezoid, these two sides, they are opposite and they are parallel. So QT is parallel to QS, but they are not equal. So notice that one of them is longer than the other one. So these two are parallel to each other, but they are not equal. These two sides are called the non-parallel, so they are not parallel to each other. So in an isosceles trapezoid, the non-parallel sides are always equal, meaning if this length is 10, then over here is also 10. So in every isosceles trapezoid, these two sides are always equal. No, not only that, a trapezoid has two bases. So down here is a base. Up here is another base. All right. So we spoke about in a trapezoid, non-parallel sides are equal. All right. Now it has two bases. Now notice that the angles that are alongside the base in an isosceles trapezoid, the angles that are along the base, these two angles down here are congruent. They are equal. So these two that is along this base, so they are formed with this base. These two angles, they are equal. So if this is 8x plus 34, right here must also be 8x plus 34. 8x plus 34. Up here is the other base. The angle that is alongside this base, next to each other, is going to be equal. All right, so these two are equal. So if this angle right here is 6x minus 22, then over here has to also be 6x minus 22. 6x minus 22. All right, so in an isosceles triangle, base angles are equal. So again, not these two. Not these two. It's the one that is along the base. These two are equal, and these two up this base are equal. Now, the question wants us to find the value of angle S. So to do that, we're going to look at these two relationships. So these two angles that are opposite, so opposite to angle S, and angle Q is angle Q. So opposite angles, so I'm going to put that one here. Opposite angles sum to 180 degrees. So this is the only one where the opposite angles sum to 180. The only quadrilateral. In the other quadrilaterals, notice that the opposite angles, they are equal. These are equal. However, when we're talking about the trapezoid, the isosceles trapezoid, the opposite, they are not equal, but they add to 180. So we can create an equation using this particular property. So we're going to have 6x minus 22, which is Q, plus S, which we know is 8x plus 34. When you add those two together, they should sum to 180 degrees. So we have just created an equation using this property. Opposite angles In an isosceles trapezoid, they sum to 180. All right, so we can go ahead and use our menu 3-1 and work this out. So if we go to our calculator, we're going to have menu 3-1, parentheses. Always practice using your parentheses. Minus 22, close parentheses, plus, open parentheses, 8x plus 34, close parentheses, equal 180. When you're finished with your equation, you must put comma. The letter is x, and then you hit enter. So x is therefore equal to 12. So x is equal to 12. Now, the question asks us for angle S. So angle S is represented by this. So angle S is represented by 8x plus 34. So we know what x is, so we're going to have 8. X is 12. Close parentheses, plus 34. And you just quickly put this in your calculator to work out what the angle is. So 8 parentheses 12, close parentheses, plus 34, enter. So that angle is therefore equal to 130 degrees. And that is how we do this one. So just remember, for this one, the opposite angles, they sum to 180, and the two base angles, so these two base angles, they are equal, and these two base angles up here, they are equal. All right, we have one more to do and we're finished. So this is something that we did last year. Hopefully you remember, but it says that in the diagram, this A is parallel. These two lines means parallel. It's parallel to B. Which statement are true? Select all that apply. So I'm going to color the parallel ones. So this is parallel to this one. So these two are parallel. And then it therefore means that this is called a transversal. A transversal is the line that intersect pairs of parallel lines. All right? When that is the case, different kind of angle relationships are formed. So we're going to look at them. It says, which statement is true? Select all that apply. So it says angle 2. Angle 2, this means equal or congruent. So angle 2 is congruent to angle 7. So let's look at 2. So angle 2 and angle 7, they are congruent. Is that true? No. So notice that they are alternate, meaning they're on opposite sides, but this one is alternate, this one is outside, and this one is inside. So we only have alternate inside, meaning both of them has to be inside, or alternate exterior, meaning both of them has to be outside. So these two, they are not congruent. They has no relationship. No relationship. So it's not going to be this one. So if we were to make a Z, let me just emphasize. A Z notice that this one is on the outside of the Z, but this one is on the inside. So this is not going to work. Now we're going to look at angle 1 and 6. 1 and 6, so 1 and 6, they are same side interior. They're on the same side. So they're on the same side. So if they're on the same side and they're also inside, those are called they sum to 180. They sum to 180. They are not equal. We are looking for equal. All right? 4 and 8. So 4, notice that 4 is right here. 4 and 8 is right here. So they are basically in the same position, in the same spot. This one is both to the right, both to the right. This is below the parallel, below the parallel. So these are corresponding. They're in the same spot. So these are equal. These are congruent. So 4 and 8 is true. All right, let's look at 4 and 5. So this one is true because they are corresponding. 4 and 5. So if I make my other z, so 4 and 5 is also true because they are alternate exterior. So this is on the outside. This is also on the outside. All right, so this is true. 2 and 8. So 2 and 8, yes. So this is the z. Notice that this is on the outside. This is also on the outside. So these two, they are true. So then the answer would have to be A, B, C, D, and E. So those are all that is true.